Donald Trump has just doubled down on his Hillary Clinton always playing the woman card line of attack. He'd gotten criticism for it the first time he brought it up on the night of his 5-for-5 sweep of the Northeast, and he's continuing on past that criticism. He just does not care, and you're going to see it in this video.
On Tuesday night, you said Hillary Clinton is playing the women card or the woman card, and that if she were a man, she would only have 5% of the vote. 70% of women in this country say they have a negative view of you. Do you even care?
Of course I care. Nobody respects women more than I do, and I wasn't playing the woman's card. It's true. I mean, she is playing the woman's card. She said everything she says is about the woman's card, and frankly, all I'm doing is bringing out the obvious. And without the woman's card, Hillary would not even be a viable person.
But are you saying that women in this country vote based simply on gender?
Well, I don't think they vote on gender. No, I think they vote for security. I think they vote for jobs, and that's why I'm doing so well.
But Mr. Trump, I mean, for you to say that if she were not a woman, she would be getting 5%, suggests the only thing she has going for her is that she's a woman, not that she was a former senator, a former secretary of state, and a lawyer. Do you understand why some people find that to be kind of a demeaning comment?
No, I find it to be a true comment. I think the only thing she's got going is the fact that she's a woman. She has done a terrible job in so many different ways. You look at Libya, you look at some of the things that she's done are just absolutely disastrous. No, I would say the primary thing that she has going is that she's a woman, and she is playing that card like I have never seen anybody play it.
Wow. She is playing that card like I've never seen anybody play it. He loves making those types of statements. It's funny.
He gets to do it a lot because he has a terrible memory.
Horrible memory. Okay, so I don't know if he realizes this. They were trying to explain it to him. But by saying that Hillary is only winning because she's playing the woman card, you are implying that she is being voted for by females that have nothing going on up there, right? They're not thinking about political policy. They're not thinking about, you know, the political ramifications of electing her. They're just voting for her because she's a woman. Now, look, I do believe that there is a small percentage of women who want a woman to be in office, so they'll go ahead and vote for her. But to make those types of broad generalizations is not just hurting, well, in your mind, Hillary Clinton, it's hurting you because you're going ahead and you're basically isolating these female voters and you're making them out to be idiots, which they're not. He's an idiot.
Yeah. And I think to some extent they were like trying to give him an out. Like, do you even care? Like, that's aggressive, sure, but it gives him the chance, as he's taken in the past, to backtrack on it. Maybe it's to his credit that this is something he fervently believes in, and so he stuck with it. And yeah, I agree. If you wanted to make a criticism of her, and you can't help it because of who you are and how you're raised, then you could say, yeah, there's probably some percentage who are voting, all else being equal, because she's a woman, in the same way that there are almost certainly a certain percentage of men who will vote for a man, all else being equal, because they're a man. And look, I believe that if she were a man instead of a woman, I don't think that her resume would stand out in the same way. And so JR mentioned in the production meeting that, well, of course it wouldn't, because she had more obstacles along the path, which is true. And so you could, like, saying that she's playing the woman card isn't even necessarily proving that she shouldn't be able to, because she has had special obstructions along the way.
Look, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead, finish.
No, but my final thought is, theoretically, like, if we're pointing out that a couple percentage points might support her for that, let's say I believe that she does bring up that she's a woman quite commonly. You could label that playing the woman card. That is a very different thing than saying it works and that's the only reason she has any support.
Yeah.
I could try to do something. That doesn't mean that the only reason people like me is because of that.
So look, I'm very honest and open about what my preferences are for a candidate on the Democratic side. I was very supportive of Bernie Sanders. With that said, even though Hillary Clinton is not my favorite candidate and I have a lot of issues with her, I think that it's beyond unfair to make it seem as though she's gotten as far as she's gotten based on the fact that she's a woman. If anything, you're right. That has been more of a challenge than a benefit throughout her career. And I don't have an issue with her bringing up the fact that she's a woman. I had a huge issue with her bringing up the notion that Bernie Sanders supporters were sexist for not voting for her. That drove me crazy. But I don't have a problem with her bringing up the fact that she's a woman because women have been underrepresented in politics. And she's trying to reach out to female voters that are worried about their reproductive rights being violated, that are worried about things like maternity leave or family leave. I think that these are issues that are important, and not just to women, but to families in general. So I like that she's bringing up these problems. But at the same time, you know, the problem with Trump is that he'll sprinkle a little bit of truth in his arguments.
Yeah.
And, you know, in between, you'll hear crazy statements. And I think a lot of Americans will focus on the half-truths as opposed to all the lies that he says in these statements, right?
Yeah.
So again, she did not create a career solely based on the fact that she's a woman. That has not been beneficial for her. That has worked against her.
Yeah. He always could make a point, and he's in a somewhat unique position on the Republican side to make that point, but he weighs himself down by how much of a hateful person he is.
He's so hateful.
And it makes you not apparently it makes some Republicans able to agree with him, but it makes reasonable people not able to agree with him because he just goes off in such ridiculous, false directions.
Yeah, and again, you are disparaging female voters in attacking Hillary the way that you're attacking her, which, by the way, is kind of awesome for people that don't want you to be elected. So keep doing that.
Oh, we're going to have some numbers on that. The thing for Trump, though, is that he won't back off, and it's even worse than that because now he's got his surrogates going off and spreading the exact same message, even a less subtle version of it, which you're going to see in this clip.
The average woman who isn't really involved in politics or isn't really using her own brain to go, let me see, you know, what has this woman done for our country? They're just going in and saying, I guess I should vote for her because she's a woman. I don't know what they're doing, why they're doing that, but a lot of women are doing that. And what Mr. Trump is saying, look at the policies. What is she doing? Nothing.
CNN drives me fucking crazy, okay? It's CNN's fault, okay? Because they have these idiots on the show all the time that just make broad, general statements with absolutely no evidence. So if I were to make a claim like that, right, I would back it up with a statistic. I don't know, 70% of women who are voting for Hillary are low-info voters based on this study, right? But she just says a lot of the people that vote for Hillary are, you know, they just vote for her because she's a woman. Based on what? You can't just go on national television and spew those types of statements without any data or evidence backing it up. And the incredible thing about CNN is they continue to have these women on, these people on, not just women, that make these statements that have no evidence backing them up, and then they'll just keep inviting them back on again and again and again. It's almost as if the producers, the news director there, the host, they don't even listen to what they're saying. They're just filling time with all these idiots.
Yeah, and look, we know, at least from the primary, what the pattern tends to be. The younger a woman is, the more likely she is to support Bernie Sanders. The older she is, the more likely she is to support Hillary Clinton. Are the older voters necessarily lower information?
Oh, they're all dumbasses, right? They're just voting for Hillary because she's a woman. Look, again, I will reiterate, is there some percentage of women that vote for her because they can identify with her and they see that she's a woman and they want a female president? Yes, I don't know what that statistic is, which is why I wouldn't sit here and tell you the majority of Hillary voters are only voting for her because she's a woman. That would be an irresponsible statement, not backed up by evidence.
Yeah, I feel like I believe that that's the case for some very small percentage, but I feel uncomfortable even saying that because I don't have the data. It's just that's my feeling.
Yes.
But I certainly don't think that that's the majority of the cases. And this is how dumb the surrogates are. If you wanted to make that sort of attack, then what you can say, and there's some evidence for, is that Hillary Clinton and her surrogates, in a couple of cases, have tried to get women to vote for her based purely on her being a woman. I think that there are a couple of quotes that seem like that. I could be reading too much into those. But that's a very different thing than saying those stupid voters only vote for her because she's a woman. Attack the candidate, you fools, not all of the voters that you want to vote for your candidate. That's so monumentally stupid.
By the way, I don't even have a problem with people attacking voters, especially when those voters are choosing a candidate who's going to go against their best interests. I've done that before, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite and blame anyone else if they do the same thing. But again, you have to provide a logical, rational, well-researched, evidence-based reason for making those statements. And that's just not what happens on CNN. That's why they have Scotty Nell Hughes on the show, who continuously gets smacked down by other guests. And CNN's like, I don't know, let's keep having this idiot on.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Maybe they like having an idiot on.
Maybe they do. I mean, it's certainly entertaining, but it's certainly not news.
Yeah.